Welcome to Behind the Smokescreens, where we give you a raw and unfiltered look at what it's like to run a business as young entrepreneurs. In our line of work, we have the pleasure of creating relationships with a variety of characters. Influencers, athletes, models, digital media gurus, CEOs, and industry experts. And we'll be inviting them on to share with you. Sit back, grab a sip and a smoke as we take you behind the smoke screens. Welcome to another episode of Behind the Smoke Screens. I'm Philip Siegel, this is Laura Clark, and we have a very special guest today, Will Jones.
Aggie Pride, basketball coach, NC A&T. How we doing tonight?
It's one of the best nights in Greensboro so far. It's unbelievable to be here.
Oh,
right
it's
now.
beautiful.
Yes,
Thanks
great.
for joining us.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming on. This episode is presented by McDonald's Ice Age Management. We have an array of beautiful sandwiches, chicken nuggies. Gotta love it.
Gotta love it. My kids like chicken nuggets, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
You need to hook me up with whoever. I need free chicken nuggets all the time.
We got you.
Hey,
We can make that happen.
let's figure
for
that
you.
out.
What's their favorite sauce?
Ketchup.
I always used to like that honey sauce.
I'm a
Just
hot
straight
mustard
honey.
guy. I'm a hot mustard. Like, that's the oldest sauce that McDonald's has, but that's my favorite.
To try that.
Carolina ketchup girl, that's ranch for those of you who don't know. So
Like, ranch didn't used to have, like, McDonald's didn't have ranch when I was in elementary school. Like,
what did
ranch,
they have?
Like, barbecue sauce.
Uh-huh.
Like, honey mustard wasn't even in, like, that wasn't a thing when I was coming up. Like, that's a new sauce, honey mustard. You know what I mean?
I hear
But
you.
definitely not ranch. I
But
like
for,
ranch, though.
For some reason, they call it Carolina ketchup.
Because everybody down south likes ranch.
They put ranch on everything.
Exactly. And that's why they call it that.
Most girls keep it in their back pocket.
I have a to-go ranch, yeah.
I love it. So, Will, let's get into it. I mean,
Yeah.
you're kind of a success story, no? I mean, you started out as an interim coach. You took over, had a really successful half of a season, maybe more like a 3/4 of a season. And then this past season, during COVID and all of the craziness that it brought to us, you won Coach of the Year.
It's been a roller coaster, but I've been on the good side of it. And just my staff and the guys and Greensboro, Aggie Nation really supported me. And we've had a rich tradition in basketball at A&T, and I want to do a good job of just restoring that and making the city proud. It's been good.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful. I love to hear it.
Was this something you always had a passion for? Or, I mean, where do you think that your path would be if this wasn't what you were doing now?
In terms of coaching, I tell the story all the time. You know, after playing, I didn't know how I was going to get into coaching.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I actually had signed a contract to work for Sears and Roebuck in their management trainee program, and was set to move to Philadelphia.
Mm-hmm.
And you know,
What industry is that?
it's sales. You know,
Okay.
and what happens is, you know, I was a education major, sports, physical education. And one of my fraternity brothers, I'm a Kappa, and he was ahead of the career development department. Mm-hmm. And so he just wanted me to interview. Like, he said, hey, man, just interview with a couple of these companies. And so I went in and interviewed, and I got a call back from Sears and Roebuck. Mm-hmm. They flew me to Chicago to the Sears Tower. They picked me up in a stretch limousine.
Wow.
And I interviewed there. And I mean, it was probably about 60 other interviewees, and you know, we spent the day there, and I got the second call, and they offered me the job. I got it, I accepted, I signed the contract. And when you get into that management trainee program, they're training you to take over stores. Mm-hmm. You know, they want you to go, they'll send you to different parts of the country, and you take over that store. That's a six-figure job, I mean, right out of the gate. And so I was very excited about the opportunity to be making six figures, and you know, 4 or 5 years after graduating college. And so, but basketball was always my passion. We went to the NCAA tournament at South Carolina State that year, my senior year, and my coach, he
you were playing at South Carolina State?
Yeah. We you know, in a successful program, we did a lot of winning there, and you know, as a kid, you're not talking to your coach all the time about job opportunities. And so, you know, I did give him my resume and said, hey, coach, I know you go to the Final Four every year. Can you hand your resumes out? You know, I would like to get into coaching as a GA. We didn't have a GA at South Carolina State, so I didn't think it was possible, right? And so he came back, and he called me one night. He said, hey, Will, come to my home, come to my house. And I went over to his house. He said, hey, don't tell anybody. I just took the job at Tennessee State, okay? I want you to come be a part of my coaching staff. Oh, wow. Right? And so I'm like, wow. And so I said, like, how much am I going to get paid? He's like, I don't even know if you're going to get paid. And so I'm like, okay, cool. So, you know, I called Sears, man. I'm like, hey, I'm going to take this graduate assistantship at Tennessee State and $600 stipend a month, you know, versus $55,000 that I was going to be getting paid right away. I gambled on myself, and it's paid off 19 years later.
Yeah.
It's been a good deal.
But that's a true testament, I think, to your passion and kind of where your heart's at, to just step out and, like you said, make a bet on yourself and hope that it works out the way you want it to.
That's what I tell people all the time. They ask me, hey, coach, man, you know, tell me about coaching. I say, hey, man, you got to be willing to bet on yourself. There's no guarantees. There's no roadmap. I can't tell you exactly how to get there, but you got to be willing to pay the price. And you know, over those 19 years, I lived in probably 8 or 9 cities. I worked at a lot of different levels, different schools, and you know, I didn't plan on being the head coach at North Carolina A&T, but God had another plan, so it was good.
So, to bring it back to, you know, to relate to college kids graduating right now, what was that decision like when you had to make that huge life decision in that moment where you're like, I'm gonna go to Sears or I'm gonna go coach with this?
It was
team.
You know, it was a lot of emotions in it. You know, back, you know, when I played, you know, overseas is a lot of times, you know, obviously playing basketball at the next level is always on the table, you know, and I definitely wasn't good enough to play in the NBA. But the opportunities to play abroad weren't as available back then as they are now. And so I didn't have any agents beating down my door or calling and try to fly me so I could play in France or Italy or Argentina. And so I just knew that I was about to graduate and I needed to figure out how to make some money. You know, I wasn't going back home, you know, and but I also knew that coaching was in my blood. And so, but getting that opportunity with Sears, I was excited about it. Like, yo, I'm about to be making $55,000 a year, living in Philadelphia. Man, you know, my life is going to be good. You know, at that point,
things are falling into place.
Things are you know, the dream. You go to college, you get a degree, you get a job. Like, you know, kids don't get jobs right now. Right, it's a struggle to get a job right out of college right now. And so, but again, the opportunity to coach, I didn't know before how it was going to present itself. You know, even if I went to Philly, I was going to try to be involved with the grassroots, high school basketball, AAU basketball. But, you know, being able to be that GA in Tennessee State was really, really a gift.
Was there ever a moment of doubt in that time where you thought, you know what, maybe I should have gone to Sears and Roebuck or just...
Oh, my gosh. Listen. When I was a GA...
I felt that right there.
It was... I had friends, right? You know, and they were lawyers and doctors. You know, Nashville, where Tennessee State is, it's like a melting pot. It's Vanderbilt, Belmont, Meharry Medical, Tennessee State, Lipscomb. So a lot of colleges there, and I got a chance to meet some really, really progressive people. And like I said, they were in medical school, they were in law school, and I remember just going through the process, and they, you know, I'm sitting there like, man, I'm hanging with doctors and lawyers, like, they're making, you know, they're going to make a lot more money than me, you know? And so after my 2 years was over, I took a job at a D2 in Memphis, Tennessee. And then my best friend, you know, he was at, you know, Harvard Medical School, you know, and visiting him in the summer, and he's talking about his experiences, and I'm like, dude, you're about to be making a whole lot of money. I'm not making a lot of money right now. I'm at this small D2 school.
Which school was it?
Lemoyne-Owen. Lemoyne-Owen College in the heart of South Memphis, Tennessee, and a small HBCU D2. And
what was their mascot?
It was the magicians. Lemoyne-Owen Magicians.
That's a mouthful.
Yeah, it's like magicians. Yeah, like
that is a mouthful.
Yeah, it's like the musicians.
Imagine chanting that one. Yeah,
I mean, I'm like, yo, they might be the only ones in the country that have that mascot. But I didn't know at that time if I could be the coach at Kentucky. I didn't know if I was going to be able to be the head coach at South Carolina, my home state. It was a lot of doubt.
Yeah.
He's making a lot of money and he's good, and I'm over here, trying to figure this thing out. So yeah, man, it was a lot of times, my parents, people I dated, my wife sometimes, like, you sure about this coaching thing? Like, you're an assistant coach. Are you going to get a chance to be a head coach? But again, I had to be strong in my convictions to know that I was doing the right thing.
Yeah.
What kept you going through that process where you just had all that self-doubt and everyone was questioning you, and how did you keep going through that moment?
Just never being a person to quit, right? Give up on something. Like, you sit down and you say, you know what? I'm going all in. I'm putting all the coins in this basket. I realize that if I turn back, like, I'm turning back to nothing. I'm starting at ground zero wherever I'm going. So you better do what you're supposed to do. Yeah. And I think during that whole time, I always, in the back of my mind, knew that I need to be doing the things to make sure I was prepared to be a head coach. Like, don't waste time. Like, don't be out here, like, just living the life. Yeah, you're a basketball coach. People come to see your teams play. Sometimes it can be seen as a celebrity type of lifestyle, being a part of the sports arena. But at the end of the day, I knew that you're one loss away from being fired, or you're one bad decision away from being fired. I always needed to operate at a high level in terms of what my ultimate goal was. And I think that mindset allowed me to, when the opportunity presented itself to be interim at A&T, being able to take the baton and run with it because I've been preparing all those years.
I feel like that is such a high pressure and can be such a high profile title, and partly because of what it is, but also because of the area. I mean, sports in the South are, second to none. For a lot of people, I feel like that is religion. That's all that they care about. So when you're in that spotlight, how did you, step back and be able to manage a personal life and your well-being and mental health and all those things when you're going through that?
Yeah, it was a whirlwind. It was, I got to A&T, and during that time, football was operating at a high level at A&T. Women's basketball had won some championships. Baseball won some championships. Like, we were going to the awards banquet, and everybody was being recognized for being a champion except men's basketball. And I was like, man, this is tough. Like, we're just sitting amongst the midst of champions, and we're not even close.
Yeah.
Shout out Coach Broadway.
Coach Broadway he had it running, and they still have it running. And I just wanted to get the basketball program to where everybody else was. And so I took it over, not knowing if I was going to have a chance to be the permanent head coach. I just wanted to do my part and win. I changed the style a little bit. Fans start coming. People who hadn't been to A&T basketball games in 15 years started coming back. The gym started being packed on Thursday and Saturday. And so the atmosphere changed totally. And the program just changed during that conference season. And at that point in time, I'm driving from home, to the gym, and I'm getting home. I'm like, man, we're really doing this thing. Like, it's happening.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm telling my wife, we're winning. and we're in the paper every day, and and I asked my AD, I said, hey man, do you want me to just run the basketball program, or do you want me to run the entire basketball deal? And he said, Coach, run the entire deal. And at that point, I went back and used everything I used in those 19 years, working for the people that I worked for, at the schools that I worked for, and I put it all in the way that it was supposed to be. And the guys believed in it, the staff believed in it, and we have, out of the history of A&T basketball, in 2 years, we've got the second best start of any coach in the history of the program.
Wow.
Amazing.
So it's a good deal.
Yeah.
That is a good deal.
We just got to keep it going.
So I'm really curious, like your first game as an interim coach.
Oh, man, yeah.
What was that like? Like, how did you relate to the players? How did you convince them that you guys needed to win and win them over in the locker room after a big head coaching change?
First game, I might be the only coach in the country. Their first game is on ESPN, not ESPNU, not ESPN 360, ESPN.
Who were you playing?
At Illinois.
Illinois?
In Champaign.
Okay.
Right? Versus a top 25 team. I took over right after Christmas. We had one practice here in Greensboro, right? We flew out to Champaign. We had a shoot around there, 2 practices, all right, to be able to rally the troops, right? Be able to give them a game plan and a belief in what we were doing, right? I had to figure out the narrative for them to believe in what we needed to do going into playing, in Champaign. And I just remember the guy said, listen, not a whole lot of plays tonight. I just want you guys to rebound the ball and run and share the ball. All right, that's all I want you guys to do. Play as fast as you can. And so for about 35 minutes, 32, 35 minutes, we were in the game. They pulled away probably with about 8 minutes left in the game. But after that game, they saw the difference. Mm-hmm. They saw how we were playing, how I coached them, and I thought they really bought in. And then we came home and played a non-Division I school, and we scored 128 points.
Wow. That's incredible.
We scored 128 points, and everybody's like, yo, these guys were just scoring 59 points a game. Like, they scored 128. And so the guys started to believe. They started to believe. And in our first conference game in Corbett, we're playing Florida A&M, and we're up 25 points in the first half. Like, the guys, they didn't know. They were in uncharted waters. We had never been up against anybody 25 points.
What's the magic trick there?
You know what I mean? We were just playing that style. They were having fun. We were throwing lobs. Guys were catching it. The fans were loving it. And I remember in that game, I said we're up 25. We're in the second half. And again, uncharted waters for us. And I remember a timeout. I said, guys, the game's not over. Like, we have more than 15 minutes left in this basketball game. They're not quitting. Florida A&M came all the way back and took the lead by 5 points.
No shit.
And so now I'm saying, listen, I'm up by 25.
What have I done?
I'm the interim coach. Like, what if we lose this game? They're definitely going to say, this dude's not the dude.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
He's not the dude.
Yeah.
And so I had to keep my composure for the team, and I had to keep my composure and belief for the people that were watching. Mm-hmm. And so at that point in time, it's a game now, and now I got to coach, right? And so we're down 5, we make some plays, we tie it, we go to overtime, and we end up winning in overtime by 5. And I'm saying, man, what a first win. That's my first win as a coach in the Division I level. And I said, what a win. And after that, every game for about probably 6 or 7 games, we were beating teams in our conference by 25 to 30 points a game. Wow. Like, it was unbelievable. Teams were scared. I was telling guys, they're going to come out knowing that if they don't play hard, they're going to lose by 30. Like, so be ready for them tonight. Like, they're going to come at us. And we started just taking off, man. We won like 13 games in a row, and we were in first place for a long time in the league. And we finished off the season in the regular season championship, and we're playing good in the tournament, and it got shut down for COVID. And but the season was a successful season for us.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You have such a calm and kind of like just very chill personality. So I'm just curious to know if that's the same when you're in that moment.
It's your team is going to play with the personality of their coach. And my deal, it's a deal, and I tell the guys in practice at the beginning of the year, this is the deal. I'm going to coach you as hard as you can be coached in practice. All right. We recruited you. You're supposed to be a good player, right? You're supposed to be a good player. So when we get to game night, you got to get it done. Like, there's no need for me to be screaming and yelling. That's not going to make you hit a shot. That's not going to make you play the game you're supposed to be good at. Yeah. And so be as advertised, all right? I'm going to let you hoop. You know, the guys always say, Coach, man, let me hoop. All right, go out there and hoop, all right? So when you're not hooping, when we get in the timeout, I'm going to tell you you're not hooping, all right? And so either that's going to trigger something in your soul to say, Coach is right, I'm not hooping right now, you know? And I just try to give them that confidence, and I try to be calm so that they're calm and they feel like, hey, Coach is not panicking, so we're all right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
How do you build that, I guess, like one-on-one connection? I mean, because you've got so many guys that you have to kind of gain that trust from.
Trust is the biggest thing that you can have as a coach. Trust. Even in relationships outside of sports, trust. It's not about basketball all the time. Basketball is 10% of what I do. The other part is relationships with players, with the people I work with on campus, the other coaches on campus, people in the community. And so the trust factor is they trusted me to say yes, to come to A&T. And I have to deliver on my side of it. I got one guarantee, and that's you're gonna graduate. I tell parents, I tell mom, I tell dad, grandma, I got one promise. I'm gonna make sure this young man graduates, gets a degree. That's what's most important. The basketball side of it, he's gonna decide. I'm gonna put that in his court. I'm gonna give him the resources. He's gonna have the gym time. He's gonna have the strength coach. He's gonna have the assistant coaches that can work him out. He's gonna have the platform to play. That's gonna be on him. If he wastes that with hanging out and not working on his game and not doing what he needs to do to be a professional player or play afterwards, that's on him. He's not gonna say Coach Jones stopped him, right? And so that part of it is Coach Jones is gonna allow me to go out here and do what I need to do on this basketball floor, right? And so they know that they can come to me and talk to me about anything outside of basketball, life. My door is always open. Talk to me about life. Talk to me about music, what's going on in social media. But at the end of the day, what their dreams and aspirations are in terms of basketball, I put it in their court. And at the end of the day, they can say, hey, Coach, allow me to try to reach my dreams.
Yeah.
So were your previous coaches at South Carolina State, were they as progressive as you? Because you look at all those old school coaches like Roy Williams, Coach K, Jim Calhoun, Calipari, they're all screaming and yelling on the sidelines, and you're just chilling. You're like, we're going to do the work in practice, and then I'll let you do your thing on the court.
You know, my college coach was very motivational. He was a motivation expert, you know, and I would always wonder sometimes, like something would happen and he would act like he didn't see it. Like, you didn't see it? Like, you saw what he did? Put me in. Did you see what he did? Like, that guy just did that. Put me in. I'm not going to, you know, but that's that piece that, you know, as a coach sometimes you can't hear everything. You can't see everything because the guys aren't going to be perfect all the time. And he was a motivator. Sometimes guys are yelling and screaming at guys, and then sometimes guys are motivating, right? They're saying, hey man, you're better than that, or shoot the next one, or, you know, things like that. But, you know, I kind of took the model, you know, my high school football coach was really good. We won some state championships in high school.
Dual athlete. That was a humble brag.
Definitely. Dual athlete, played everything, multiple, triple athlete, everything, track, football, basketball. I did it all. But he was very calm. He was a calm coach, and we did the work during the week. He taught us what we needed to do to win, and so on the game nights, he was just making good decisions as a coach and delivering on the part that he needed to deliver on to put us in position. So I kind of take his approach to it.
Sweet.
Because you played so many sports, is there something that you enjoy watching? I mean, is it basketball for you? Like if you get to take a night off and just kick back and
listen,
tell us about it.
You guys, again, I've lived a lot of different places, and obviously we can look at football all the time. We can see basketball. I'm gonna tell you what I really like, and in the last 3 weeks, I really kind of got back into it.
Okay.
I like racing.
Really?
I like racing.
What? And
What
we're talking
kind of racing?
NASCAR, NASCAR, drag racing.
3 in the sky and 1 in your heart.
Listen, I mean,
We should go to the Indy 500.
when I was in Nashville as a GA, in the summer I had to get a job, right?
Okay.
And so I got a job being a security officer.
Uh-huh.
And that security officer, one of my assignments was the Nashville 500. And so I drive out there to this racetrack, and man, they got the NASCARs out there, and the atmosphere. It's packed. They got RVs out there. People are having fun, and those cars, man, like going around that track. I mean, the noise and it was impactful and exciting, and I always would tell guys, man, you better go to Nashville. I mean, a NASCAR race is pretty fun. And then 3 weeks ago, down at the Piedmont drag strip here in McLeansville, I went down, and they had the big dogs racing that night, and I'm sitting there on the starting line, and it's unbelievable. I'm like a kid in a candy store, man. Like I got earmuffs on. I'm sitting around, and it's just exciting. I mean, those cars are going like 198 miles per hour. Like, it was unbelievable.
What's
I really like
a big
racing.
dog?
A big dog are the pro mods that you see on TV. And so, obviously, there are a lot of people that race, and they have the old school cars. They got them souped up, right? And, it's a hobby for them, right? They put money into their cars, but then you got the guys that they travel, and they do this for a living, right? And so they had the big dogs there that night, and it was about 7 or 8 of those cars. We pull up, they got tractor trailers with the logos on it, the sponsors, and I'm like, yo, this is different tonight. And so those cars get to the starting lineups, and I'm like, yo, these are the cars that I see on TV. And so, I mean, and I'm talking to the people around here like, this is what we're here for, man. This is what we're here for. And, I mean, those cars take off, man. They're going almost 200 miles per hour, and I'm blown away. Like, yo, I really like this stuff. So racing.
Have you ever been to a NASCAR race?
Never. I would love to go.
I've been to a NASCAR race. I find it hard to stay motivated through the 500 laps. I left on 498 to get a corn dog before the concession stand closed.
Which one did you go to?
Martinsville,
That's in Tennessee, right?
Virginia.
Martinsville,
Right,
Virginia.
like
Is
if
that
you,
NASCAR?
it was NASCAR.
Okay. Were you in the pit or were you in the stands?
No, I was not in the pit. I was
She should have been in the
stand.
pit, right?
Yeah.
She should be
Maybe
able
then
to-
I would have got the full
Yeah.
alert, but
You can't go and get corn dogs in the pit though. Or whatever you call the center field area.
what is that called?
You know what I'm talking about?
I know what you're talking about. I don't know if
The
that's
infield? I don't know.
Infield, yeah.
Yeah, that sounds about right. What's your favorite sport to watch, Phil? Because you're a dual athlete too.
Oh, hockey all day. Especially playoff hockey.
Yeah.
Very intense, body checking, fighting. Fastest team sport in the world.
Okay.
You can't beat that.
I would say I like drag racing over like the 500 laps. I
Yeah.
would kind of lose it too, watching the car go around 500 times.
Yeah.
But the drag racing, it's exhilarating. It's like 3 seconds and it's over.
Yeah.
Like, so I would probably say drag racing.
And they got all the fire. And
All the fire,
Yeah.
yep.
The
cars.
theatrics, yeah,
Yep. It's better,
adds
yeah.
to it.
Would you ever do it?
You know, man, when you're out there on the track,
Uh-huh.
and I'm like, man, I'm a coach. We're gonna win games, but I'm gonna retire one day. I'm gonna be able to like have some money in the bank. Like I might get behind one of these cars, man. It makes you want like anything. Like you want to be like Mike watching basketball, like, but I'm out there like, you know what, man, I might want to do this when I retire. You know what I mean? Man.
But if somebody just said, hey, I have a car this weekend, and I want you to
right now,
drive it. Yeah.
I wouldn't do it because you know why? It's an art. It's a sport, right? Just like my players, they have to train. They have to, things have to be in order. Like, it's not a game. Those cars are high level. Mm-hmm. They're athletes, really. Those cars have to be souped up and ready to go. And one mistake in that line of work can end your life.
You're done,
so,
yeah.
no, I wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's you got to respect the game.
Mm-hmm.
You got to respect those drivers.
Absolutely. I want to circle back to something you mentioned earlier. This has been bugging me the whole time. I'm curious to know how you lived on $600 a month.
Man, listen, those were the days, man. Pay my rent. Mm-hmm. I ended up having to take out some student loans in terms of, just to help me get through the day to day.
Yeah.
But it was like you said. I mean, God, what am I doing? Like, is this going to pay off?
Yeah.
Am I going to be able to pay this back? This student loan back? Like, is it worth it? Mm-hmm. Right. But I had to learn how to ration, and with some other GAs around, and you just learn how to live within your means. And again, you can't waste your time. If I'm out here not doing what I'm supposed to be doing, then I'm wasting my money. I'm wasting time.
Yeah.
And so
doing it all for nothing.
Yes, and so I actually graduated from the master's program with a 4.0. So I did my what I needed to do in the classroom.
Humble brag.
Yeah, humble. You know what I mean? So
not a big deal.
Got to definitely get those grades. But I use my time wisely for sure.
So there was some recent news about the Aggies, and the school left and went to the Big South, right?
Big South Conference, yeah.
And that stirred up a little drama around Greensboro. Some alumni were unhappy about that. What are your thoughts on going to a new conference? Do you feel like you guys are going to still maintain that dominance in all sports, including basketball? Or do you think it'll be a little more competitive?
Like I said, A&T has been riding a pretty good, it's kind of like the golden years right now. Like, everything's going right. Every program's competing at a high level. And that is just parallel to what the school's doing academically and the growth of the university. And so the move to the Big South, A&T being the largest HBCU in the world, as I've been saying over the past 2 years, I think it's taking the lead and saying, hey, listen, we're putting out a good product. We're doing what we need to do. We can step up another level and compete in a place that we've never been before. Uncharted waters for us as an HBCU. And the resources are in place. The support is there. Aggie Nation, in terms of our alumni base and their support for the programs there. I think the teams, the athletes are ready to go there and compete and still win at a high level. Obviously, the competition from top to bottom is probably going to be a lot better, but I think we still will compete at the upper echelon level to be able to continue to compete for championships. The traditional games is really what the fans will miss. Those games that's been being played for years and years in the HBCU arena. But I think we will still be able to play a couple of those games within the schedule in the non-conference. In the Big South, Hampton's another school that was in our conference that we'll reestablish a rivalry with them. But I think as long as the winning and the Aggies continue to compete at a high level, I think the fans will continue to support, and they'll see that the move to the Big South is more of a trailblazing opportunity for the school, something else that they can brag about.
Mm-hmm.
And wouldn't you guys still be representing the HBCU and carrying that name along into the Big South and kind of, just making your own way? But everyone is kind of like up in arms about you guys leaving everyone behind. But it seems like more of a positive thing from a reader standpoint rather than actually being involved with it?
Yeah, I've said this on numerous radio shows and podcasts before. Being an HBCU has nothing to do with sports. Like, it has nothing to do with fielding sports teams. Being an HBCU is that's who you are as a university. Like, you don't have to play sports to
that's just part of the identity.
That's who we are. And so wherever we are, we're still going to be an HBCU. We're still going to be representing that brand. And it's just going to be taking our brand further out and putting us in another space that we can impact. And what's going to be good is the schools that we compete against, the kids that haven't visited an HBCU campus or haven't had the opportunity, they're going to have an opportunity to come play at A&T and come see what it looks like. And you never know. I mean, it may say, hey, man, we went over to play at A&T. I really like, I saw their campus. It was unbelievable. I never thought it was going to be like that. And so it can spark interest amongst the other teams and just help them understand, what it is to play at an HBCU too.
Do you have a school that you're eyeing in the Big South? Something that's a team that's on your radar that you'll want to have a rivalry with?
Winthrop. I worked in the Big South. Winthrop's the big dog in terms of traditionally there. The coach that was there before, Coach Kelsey, who was a Wake Forest guy and coached at Wake Forest, he's a fiery guy. We used to scrimmage Winthrop, almost every couple of years before the season, and we always had a rivalry there because our styles are similar, and we just play in two different leagues. And I was interested in really establishing a rivalry with them and with Coach because he does a good job. But I think, traditionally they've still been the big dog. It'll probably be Winthrop. Yeah.
Okay. We need to cut that clip and get that. That was a really quick answer. The Winthrop. They're out of South Carolina, right?
Yeah.
That'll be the teaser.
Yeah.
That's going to be great. We're going to start a new rivalry just from this podcast.
Yeah.
It's
we can make that the headline if you want to.
I'm missing my guy here, my guy, Coach Miller, Wes Miller. I can't leave the show without talking about Wes. We had established an unbelievable relationship and competitiveness between our two programs. And he just left and went to Cincinnati. What is he doing? And so now I have to twist.
Congrats to him.
Yeah, congrats, man. Unbelievable opportunity. He deserves it. What they did the last 5 years at UNCG was unbelievable. And I just thought that the energy that both programs had was great for Greensboro. And now, with Coach Jones. Coach Jones is in Greensboro now. Coach Jones at A&T, Coach Jones at UNCG. And so hopefully the people don't get us confused in the newspaper. But now we got to hopefully start a rivalry with the new UNCG staff.
You have to with the same name like that.
Oh,
Jones
man, that's crazy.
Jones. Yeah, that's a great headline.
Definitely.
Is Greensboro big enough for two
I don't know, man. We're going to figure it out.
There can only be one Jones in this town.
You're right, but don't put that.
Got it.
Cut that out, Trapo. Any last questions, Laura?
I think I'm good. This is honestly, I'm not a big sports gal, but this has been one of my favorite interviews. I feel like so much of what you've said just applies to just trying to be successful in any division. I mean, beyond the world of sports, trying to just get after it and always be on the grind and, like you said, really be what you advertise. I like that a lot.
And that's why I like, coming here to Phil's. Every time I've come here, I've just met somebody who's just very successful in what they do. And it's so funny. I mean, I come in and every time that it's happened, I'm literally sitting by myself. And this is why this place is just a great place. And somebody will walk in and, can I sit with you? And I'm like, yeah, so sit with me, and we're talking, and they're telling me, I own this business, or, this is what I do. And I'm asking them questions about how to be successful, how do you do this, and then they're asking me, they're trying to figure out from my side, how do I do things? How do I get my players motivated? And we're talking, and even though we're in totally two different realms, we always can relate because success is success, right?
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't matter what field you're in. People that are successful have a lot of the same attributes. It doesn't matter what field you're in. So that's why this place is so special.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got a great look behind the Smokescreens of Will Jones.
Definitely.
Coach of NC A&T Aggies. And we appreciate you coming on.
This has been good. This is the best set in terms of podcasts. I'm tired of Zooms. I've been on 35,000 Zooms over the last year. It's good to be in person and chop it up with you guys tonight.
Shout out to Alex Fuentes, our
Definitely,
producer.
Definitely.
We
Done a
love
great
him.
job.
Great guy. If you want any clips, we'll clip it out for you. Especially that rivalry one.
Yeah.
Definitely. I'm going to put that out on Instagram. It's going to get a lot of bites, man.
Yeah.
Phil, why don't you take us home by taking a bite out of one of these items right up at the front? Anyone that
man.
you want.
A little chicken
Has
nugs?
to be that one. No.
I got you right here. One bite, everyone knows the rules.
All right.
Delicious.
Is that it?
That's it.
Okay. All right. Simple, sweet. We like it.
Awesome. Love you guys.
Good job.
Love you guys.
It's good? Perfect. It was good?
That's great.
It was great.